That Johnson well knew the most proper course to be pursued in the instruction of youth is authentically ascertained by the following paper in his own handwriting, given about this period to a relation, and now in the possession of Mr. John Nichols. Scheme for the classes of a grammar school. When the introduction or formation of nouns and verbs is perfectly mastered, let them learn. Courteous by Mr. Clark, beginning at the same time to translate out of the introduction, that by this means they may learn the syntax. Then let them proceed to Aramis, with an English translation by the same author. Class 2 learns Eutropius and Cornelius Nepos, or Justin, with the translation. N.B. The first class gets for their part every morning the rules which they have learned before, and in the afternoon learns the Latin rules of the nouns and verbs. They are examined in the rules which they have learned every Thursday and Saturday. The second class does the same whilst they are in Eutropius. Afterwards their part is in the irregular nouns and verbs, and in the rules for making and scanning verses. They are examined as the first. Class 3. Ovid's Metamorphoses in the morning, and Caesar's Commentaries in the afternoon. Practice in the Latin rules till they are perfect in them, afterwards in Mr. Leeds' Greek grammar, examined as before. Afterwards they proceed to Virgil, beginning at the same time to write themes and verses, and to learn Greek. From thence passing on to Horace, etc., as shall seem most proper. I know not well what books to direct you to, because you have not informed me what study you will apply yourself to. I believe it will be most for your advantage to apply yourself wholly to the language, till you go to the university. The Greek authors I think it best for you to read are these: Cebes, Aelian, Lucian by Leeds, Xenophon, Homer, Thucydides, and Euripides. Thus you will be tolerably skilled in all the dialects, beginning with the Attic, to which the rest must be referred. In the study of Latin, it is proper not to read the latter authors, till you are well versed in those of the purest ages, as Terence, Tully, Caesar, Sallust, Nepos, Valius Paterculus, Virgil, Horace, Phaedrus. The greatest and most necessary task still remains, to attain a habit of expression, without which knowledge is of little use. This is necessary in Latin, and most necessary in English, and can only be acquired by a daily imitation of the best and correctest authors. Sam Johnson. While Johnson kept his academy, there can be no doubt that he was insensibly furnishing his mind with various knowledge. But I have not discovered that he wrote anything except a great part of his tragedy of Irene. Mr. Peter Garrick, the elder brother of David, told me that he remembered Johnson's borrowing the Turkish history of him, in order to form his play from it. When he had finished some part of it, he read what he had done to Mr. Walmsley, who objected to his having already brought his heroine into great distress, and asked him, "How can you possibly contrive to plunge her into deeper calamity?" Johnson, in sly allusion to the supposed oppressive proceedings of the court of which Mr. Walmsley was register, replied, "Sir, I can put her into the spiritual court." Mr. Walmsley, however, was well pleased with this proof of Johnson's ability as a dramatic writer, and advised him to finish the tragedy and produce it on the stage. Johnson now thought of trying his fortune in London, the great field of genius and exertion, where talents of every kind have the fullest scope, and the highest encouragement. It is a memorable circumstance that his pupil, David Garrick, went thither at the same time, with intention to complete his education and follow the profession of the law, from which he was soon diverted by his decided preference for the stage. Note: both of them used to talk pleasantly of this their first journey to London. Garrick, evidently meaning to embellish a little, said one day in my hearing, "We rode and tied," and the Bishop of Killaloe informed me that another time, when Johnson and Garrick were dining together in a pretty large company, Johnson humorously ascertained the chronology of something, expressed himself thus: "That was the year when I came to London with 2 pence halfpenny in my pocket." Garrick, overhearing him, exclaimed, "Eh? What do you say? With 2 pence halfpenny in your pocket, Johnson? Why, yes, when I came with 2 pence halfpenny in my pocket, and thou, Davy, with 3 pence in thine." End of note. This joint expedition of those two eminent men to the metropolis was many years afterwards noticed in the allegorical poem on Shakespeare's Mulberry Tree, by Mr. Lovibond, the ingenious author of The Tears of Old May Day. They were recommended to Mr. Coulson, an eminent mathematician and master of the Academy, by the following letter from Mr. Walmsley: To the Reverend Mr. Coulson, Lichfield, March 2, 1737. Dear Sir, I have the favour of yours, and am extremely obliged to you, but I cannot say I had a greater affection for you upon it than I had before, being long since so much endeared to you, as well by an early friendship as by your many excellent and valuable qualifications. And had I a son of my own, it would be my ambition, instead of sending him to the university, to dispose of him as this young gentleman is. He and another neighbour of mine, one Mr. Samuel Johnson, set out this morning for London together. Davy Garrick is to be with you early the next week, and Mr. Johnson to try his fate with a tragedy, and to see to get himself employed in some translation, either from the Latin or the French. Johnson is a very good scholar and poet, and I have great hopes will turn out a fine tragedy writer. If it should any way lie in your way, doubt not but you would be ready to recommend and assist your countrymen. G. Walmsley. End of section 7.